Welcome to the City of Helena City Commission meeting, September 12, 2022, 6 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll, please?
City Attorney Doctor,
Here.
Interim City Manager Burton,
Here.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Here.
Commissioner Reed,
Here.
Commissioner Logan.
Here.
I apologize, Mr. Mayor. I do believe
She's on.
Hello. Here.
Commissioner Deeb. Thank you, Mayor Collins.
Here. Would you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic. Well, we welcome all of you here today, and we will be calling on former Attorney General Tim Fox with the employer support for guards and reserve. You have the floor, AG.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission for having us here tonight to make a very special presentation. With me is our newest volunteer for ESGR, Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve, Mike Talia, who will be assisting me with the presentation tonight. About 8 years ago, I was asked by a Department of Defense group called Employer Support for the Guard Reserve to participate in what they call a boss lift. And I went up in a helicopter and listened to a briefing on federal law having to do with employer rights and responsibilities as they pertain to members of our Guard and Reserve. And I was so taken with their mission and what they did that I signed up as a volunteer. Mr. Talia here has served in the United States Army for how many years? 20 years, and is retiring, and decided he needed to continue to serve. So he's here tonight as our newest volunteer for ESGR. One of the things that ESGR does is recognize outstanding employers who are very supportive of members of the Reserve or the Guard. And that's why we're here tonight, is to recognize Chief of Police Brett Petty, if you'd like to come up, who was nominated by one of his officers. And I'm going to make sure I get this right. Vittorio Ottinelli, if you'd like to come up. He is, Officer Ottinelli is here with his wife, Mary, and their little girl, Anne. And if we could have Mr. Talia come up and read the citation from ESGR.
Brett Perry and the Helena Police Department is awarded a Department of Defense Patriot Award in recognition of extraordinary support of his employee serving in the United States Army Reserve, First Lieutenant Vittorio Ottinelli. The Patriot Award was developed by Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve, a program of the Department of Defense to publicly recognize civilian employers who provide outstanding patriotic support and cooperation to their civilian employees serving in the Guard or Reserve. Without support of employers, the strength and readiness of the nation's Guard and Reserve units cannot be maintained. First Lieutenant Ottinelli's nomination reads, "The Helena Police Department has gone above and beyond to accommodate me with my military obligations. I have never felt as if my military service is a burden on the police department as they bend over backwards to accommodate me while on orders. I am proud to serve my country, and working for the Helena Police Department has made me proud to serve my community and city. This is a wonderful employer to work for, and I recommend any veteran working for local law enforcement. Congratulations, Brett Perry, Helena Police Department, for being a supportive civilian employer of our Montana Guard and Reserve. You provide a valuable service to our country by hiring our Montana Guard and Reserve members. The ESGR is celebrating 50 years of working to foster a culture in which all employers support and value the employment and military service of members of the National Guard and Reserve in the United States. For more information, please call us at 1-800-336-4590 or visit esgr.mil.
So on behalf of the Department of Defense and employer support of the Guard Reserve, and on behalf of your trusted and true employee here, we'd like to present you with one of the Department of Defense's highest civilian honors, the Patriot Award. So congratulations. And I apologize, Chief. There was a typo in that citation.
Oh, that's all right.
We'll get you.
That's all right. Been called worse.
There you go. It's not Mike's fault. I forgot to make a change. Thank you, Chief. And Mr. Mayor, I know that you have been on a boss lift. You are a veteran yourself. Thank you for your service. I know Tim Burton, interim city manager, has also been on a boss lift.
Yeah.
Our next boss lift is September 24th here in Helena. Would either go up on a Chinook or what's the other helicopter? A Blackhawk. The deadline is passed, but I can pull strings. And so for at least two commissioners, or at most two commissioners, I'm going to leave you with, these are actually reproducible. If you'd like to, that's the last boss lift of the year, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
If a couple of your commissioners would like to attend that, you have my number.
You
Please
bet.
Get a hold of me and I'll pull those strings. So
Okay.
thank you again, commissioners, for allowing us to be here. Chief, thank you for your service and for your support of the Guard and Reserve. And Lieutenant, thank you for your service. And Ann and Mary, thank you for being a military family and supporting your husband. So thank you very much and good night.
Thank you. Well, Chief, we thank you because we know that the Guard and Reserve, if you're in the Guard and Reserve, we know you're part-time. And employers, sometimes it's difficult to allow the employees to just leave, but to have a program like the ESGR to continue to honor dedicated employees, we thank you. And dedicated employers, we thank you. All right, moving along. Board appointments. A, board reappointment, board and committee assignment for Commissioner Shurtleff. Commissioner Shurtleff will be fulfilling terms of assignment previously held by Commissioner Fever. And those those positions previously held were the Board of Adjustment, the Montana Business Assistant Connection, Non-Motorized Travel Advisory Committee. Those are the positions that Commissioner Shurtleff will be taking over from the late Commissioner Fever. Commission discussion. Any comments or questions? Let me be looking online. I know Commissioner Dean is online. I gotta be
No
careful.
questions.
There we go.
I'll just holler at you.
Okay. So if no question, then any public comments?
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment online.
I'll entertain a motion then.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I would move to recommend the following board appointment to a city commission committee, board and committee assignments for Commissioner Shurtleff, fulfilling terms of assignments previously held by Commissioner Fever, the Board of Adjustment, Montana Business Assistance Connection, and the Non-Motorized Travel Advisory Committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, I would ask for a brief clarification from the parliamentarian from City Attorney Doctor. Would it be appropriate for Commissioner Shurtleff to take a vote on this item?
Mayor, Commissioners, Danae, thank you. No, I would not. I think Commissioner Shurtleff should probably recuse himself from this vote.
That's okay. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
Welcome, Commissioner, again. Okay. We'll move along. ADA Compliance Committee. Reappoint Jim Whaley to a third term on the ADA Compliance Committee as an architect construction field representative. Term begins upon appointment and expires on September 1st, 2025. Commission discussion. Public comments. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I move for the reappointment of Jim Whaley to a third term on the ADA Compliance Committee as an architect construction field representative. The term will begin upon appointment and expire on September 1st, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. City County Consolidated Planning Board, reappointment of Quinlan O'Connor to a second term on the City County Consolidated Planning Board as a city representative. Term will begin upon appointment and expires on September 1st, 2025. Comments or questions from the commission? Public comments.
I have no public comment, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
would move the reappointment of Quinlan O'Connor to a second term on the City County Consolidated Planning Board as a city representative. Term will begin upon appointment and expire on September 1, 2025.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. All right, consent agenda claims. Here we'll just do one motion for this. A, claims. B, approval of lease with Rocky Mountain Development Council for the Neighborhood Center. C, approve a lease with Montana Business Assistant Connection for the Chamber Building. D, approve a lease with Helena Chamber of Commerce for the Chamber Building. E, approve agreement with Lewis and Clark County for the management of the jointly owned facility.
And Mayor,
Please.
I'd recommend approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Any discussion? Public comment? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I would move approval of consent agenda items A, B, C, D, and E.
Mr. Mayor, I'd second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0.
All right, we're moving along. Communications proposals from commissioners. I have only one. I want to introduce and welcome Alex Montiel as the new deputy clerk for the city. Alex comes highly recommended. And we just want to say we're pleased that you're here with us and joining the team. Commissioners?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just briefly say welcome. We're glad to have you, and I'm sure Danae is thrilled, and I look forward to working with you.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I
Commissioner.
would also welcome Alex and caution Danae that she seems like she's having too much fun in there with Alex and Curtis. Seems like it's going very well. So thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome to Alex. She's already doing an exceptional job and keeping all of us in line, and she's only, 7 days into it. So we need it and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Alex, welcome aboard. We're both the new people here, so it's good to work with you and with Danae. Thank you both very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You bet. Alex, the floor is yours. Just push that little button there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, commissioners. I'm happy to be here.
That's it? Okay. All right. Any other communications from the body? Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very briefly, I just want to say thank you to all the staff. Over the last few weeks, I've had a number of questions, and thank you to the interim city manager. It's always been a super seamless process, very responsive. I know I work odd hours on city business, and I'm always grateful for the timely responses. So thank you to everyone who has provided information and helped me with questions that have been raised by members of the community. I am grateful.
Any other comments from the commission?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead,
Thank
Commissioner.
you. Just a little update as a member of a subcommittee that myself and the mayor to deal with city manager recruitment. Just wanted to give a brief update. One of the first things that we as a commission have done in June, we engaged with CMS of Helena, and one of the asks of them was to assess the previous processes that we've used in city manager recruitment. And they brought forth a plan and a strategy to address that. I did contact CMS reps in the last few days, and they're just at the point of wrapping that assessment up. They have one or two more directors, I believe, to interview, and sounded like we would within the next week have a report from them on that piece of our recruitment process. So just wanted to let everyone know.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any others? All right, report of the city attorney.
Commissioner, Mayor, Commissioners, I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Report of the interim city manager.
Mayor, with your permission, I'd like to invite up the Police Chief Petty,
Again,
to make a new introduction.
sure, you have the floor.
Mayor, Commission, thank you. Wanted to let everyone know that we've promoted an assistant chief there for the police department, and I did not go far to do the promotion. New assistant chief Corey Bailey, if you can come up here, please. He was just going to sit back there the whole time. He's been with the department for 21 years now. Trust him wholeheartedly, and I know he'll be a good second in command. And if you give him just a moment, he'd like to say a few words. Only because I asked him to, if you don't mind.
You have the floor, Assistant Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I just want to thank the department for giving me this opportunity. Thank my family for being supportive of me for my 21 years with the department. And I hope to live up to the high expectations and those that have gone before me. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations. Let's give him a round of applause. Are you done?
Mayor, if you're done, I was hoping you had a bunch of questions for him, but I guess not. So
Well, I'll turn it over to the commissioners if they have anything they want to say. Commissioners,
I'm trying.
go ahead, Commissioner.
I just again want to congratulate Corey. I did have the opportunity to work with Corey on the street low those many years ago, and have watched you progress through the ranks, and really pleased to see you step into this position. It's not an easy one, and thank you for your willingness to do that, and best of luck to you.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to congratulate apparently, or congratulate the new Assistant Chief. I could not be more pleased to see Chief Petty and Assistant Chief Bailey in their new positions. Thank you.
Any others? Yes.
Miss-
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Commissioner Dane. You have the
Okay.
floor.
Thanks. Just congratulations. I'm very excited about the direction of the department. Really glad we have two great people at the helm, and congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Thank you both for your service to our city. I had the opportunity to get to know Chief Petty during the Citizens Police Academy, got to know Assistant Chief Bailey. Thank you both. I reiterate, I'm looking forward to the direction that you're taking your department. So thank you very much. We look forward to your service. Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you. Okay. Report of the city manager.
Mayor, with your permission, I'd also like to invite the Fire Chief Campbell up to give a after incident report on the fire on Mount Helena.
Chief, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Greetings, good evening, commissioners. I've been asked to give a brief overview of the Mount Helena fire incident that occurred on August 28th. Helena fire crews have recently cleared from a vehicle versus pedestrian call. Shortly after noon, we were dispatched by the 911 center to a citizen report of smoke in the LeGrand Henderson area of Mount Helena. Helena Fire's first arriving apparatus were on scene within 4 minutes. Fire was burning on moderate to steep grade in light fuels, but starting to approach timbered area. The battalion chief called for a first alarm, triggering requests to our mutual aid partners, as well as off-duty Helena Fire personnel. Due to factors including time of day, fuel, moisture, wind, topography, but primarily proximity to populated areas and structures, an aggressive attack strategy was employed. This strategy is reflected in the quantity of resources that were committed to this incident. A brief overview of those resources: Helena Fire Department sent Battalion 1, Wildland, Engine 1, Engine 2, and our chief officers. Our primary mutual aid partners included responses from Baxendale, East Valley, West Valley, Montana City Fire Departments. The Forest Service fielded a Type 4, a Type 5, and 2 Type 6 engines. DNRC responded with a Type 5 and 4 Type 6 engines, along with a 20-person hand crew for initial attack. Aircraft included 3 helicopters, a lead plane, and 2 large air tankers. Additionally, Helena Police Department, Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office, and other city staff provided security and public information messaging during the incident. Special recognition should be paid to Battalion Chief Corey O'Brien and DNRC's Dave Hamilton, who worked in unified command to effectively manage all these resources. Helena Fire cleared the incident just after 6 p.m. DNRC and Forest Service crews remained on scene, extinguishing hotspots and monitoring the incident over roughly the next 48 hours. During that time, Helena's interagency fire investigation team began their work of trying to identify the area of origin and cause of fire. They successfully determined the area of origin. However, with a lack of physical evidence, the investigation findings are listed as human cause undetermined. In all, 18 acres were consumed. There are a few key takeaways from this incident. Open lands management and fuels mitigation projects are vital to the protection of structures and populated areas in the wildland urban interface. Fuel reduction will not prevent fire from our landscape, but it can improve the chances of more predictable fire behavior and enhanced effectiveness of fire suppression efforts. Big thank you to City of Helena Parks and Recreation, particularly Open Lands Manager Brad Langsether and his crews. Another major takeaway is the availability of resources and mutual aid partners was critical in the success of the fire attack. Having local and nearby resources at the ready was essential in gaining the upper hand. Had daylight, smoke conditions, or other weather variables prevented the use of aviation assets, we may have seen a different outcome. And lastly, off-duty Helena Fire personnel fielded 9 additional calls for service, including EMS calls and a vehicle accident with injuries, while the original duty crew was dedicated to the Mount Helena incident. That's our update.
Thank you, Chief. Any comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Chief Campbell, for the report and for the response. I think we've visited about that previously, but one of the things that that happened early in the incident, and it came on social media through our dispatch center. And one of the cautions that they put out was this idea for the public to stay away, to not go to the area. And did you have any challenges that way in terms of people showing up to watch? And is it an opportunity that maybe we could further educate the public on that?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Logan, thank you for the question. Yes, there were some challenges. In context, based on the location of that fire, we estimated we had roughly 30,000 direct observers because of it, where it was situated relative to town. So in scope, I think that overall the public was very respectful of our space and need to operate. Several of the challenges were individuals that were in the Mount Helena Park that didn't recognize the danger to themselves and the need for them to be out of that area, particularly once aviation operations began and they started dropping slurry. Another major challenge was a citizen operated a drone, which effectively shut down the airspace and caused all the aircraft to have to climb to a higher altitude for safety. A drone and an aircraft do not mix. A drone strike could be catastrophic to their operations and their ability to fly safely. So that caused a brief delay. And honestly, the community as a whole has responded pretty favorably to that. And so far as most everyone understands that that is not a safe practice and not something they would do. And for the most part, the area residents were excellent to deal with. We did have people approach command post and have a variety of questions, but that's to be anticipated in an incident of this profile.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Chief.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? Well, Chief, we just want to thank you again, and please pass it on to the rest of the crew that the city appreciate what they did.
Thank you all very much. I'm headed to the Rural Fire Council meeting now, so I will pass that along. Thank you.
You bet. Chief Burton, Chief Burton, City Manager Burton, how you doing?
Thanks to Chief Petty and Chief Campbell, Mayor. That concludes my report.
Okay. Communications from Helena Citizens Council, Representative Diana Hammer, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the HCC. We met on August 24th, and I want to hit a couple of highlights. Our guest speaker was Police Chief Petty, and I'd like to share HCC's congratulations on his award tonight. It's awesome. At that August meeting, we passed and sent a recommendation to the commission, reiterating the HCC's support for reinstating passenger rail through Helena. And I would like to add that, or just note that Lewis and Clark County has not yet signed on to support the passenger rail. Thirdly, we also in July, we sent a recommendation to the commission regarding the definition of daycare facilities in city code. And we're continuing to follow this as it works its way through the zoning process. I think that's a good change to the city, or update to the city code. The fourth item, we had a display up in the public defender's office in the Good Kind building at the corner of Last Chance and 6th Avenue, and it's put up by the Outreach Committee and the HCC. That was up earlier this month, and then the HCC coordinator, Peggy Benkelman, is working with facilities to put up an HCC display in the lobby of the city county building. So that'll be more visible to the public, and we're thankful for that. And finally, I just wanted to follow up on Commissioner Logan's update regarding the recruitment process for the city manager. I'd like to note that HCC has historically been involved in the interview process and would ask that you consider our involvement in the next interview process as well. That's it. Thank you again for giving the HCC time on your agenda.
Thank you, Representative Hammer. Regular items. Consider an elusive right-of-way use agreement with Tuning Prothero on behalf of Pattern House Holding LLC. City Engineer, Jamie Clark, Public Works Director, Ryan Leland. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Commission. This is a right-of-way use agreement, an exclusive right-of-way use agreement for the old Pattern House that is located next to Carrot, the old Carrot Engineering down there on Lindale Street, across from Toppers up there, and they're doing some renovations, and then they're looking at having ADA access to the building. And the only way, since it is located at the property line is where the building is to use some of the sidewalk and right away to create an ADA ramp so it can wrap around the building and go up into the building itself. With that ramp, there will be still 7.5 feet of sidewalk between the ADA ramp and the curb. A couple trees will have to be removed just to be able to have the distance that is needed for ADA to be able to get around and be maneuvered. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Comments or questions from the commission? Do we have any public comments? Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I have no public comment online.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
move to approve an exclusive right-of-way use agreement with Tony Prothero on behalf of Pattern House Holding LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0.
Public hearings. Consider the acceptance of the Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, JAG. Chief, you're all over this agenda today. You have the floor.
Mayor, thank you. Mayor and Commission, so I'd like to have the commission consider the acceptance of the Edward Burns Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. As part of the award process for the grant, the Federal Bureau of Justice of Assistance requires a public hearing. Just a brief overview of the Justice Assistant Grant, which I'll refer to as a JAG program because that's a lot to say. It's the leading source of federal justice funding to state and local jurisdictions. The JAG program provides states, tribes, and local governments with critical funding necessary to support a wide range of program areas, including law enforcement, prosecution, courts, crime prevention, education, corrections and community, drug treatment, and enforcement. Plenty of other programs, but that's in a nutshell what it covers. The Helena Police Department has received funding from this grant for the past 21 years. This grant requires the City of Helena and Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office to jointly submit the grant application. The allocation amount this year was $39,448, and that's set by the Federal Bureau of Justice of Assistance. Both agencies will receive half the award, which will be $19,724. The PD will use the money to supplement the full-time detectives position. We have a liaison detective over at the Lewis and Clark County Attorneys. That detective serves as the liaison between the PD and coordinates prosecutions, also serves as a case agent for court cases. So again, the Bureau of Justice Assistant requires a public hearing as this is a step for the JAG grant award process. With that said, do you have any questions on this?
Please, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question, Chief Petty. How does that compare to the amount from previous years?
It's all over the board. It's lower than what it has been. And then the split between the sheriff's office and the PD. Last year was more with the PD, less with the SO. This year I got a request from Sheriff Dutton if it could be split evenly. It was, so there's no exact amount every year which were allocated.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Any public comments? Madam Clerk. Oh,
Mr.
were you shaking your hand, Commissioner Dean? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment.
You'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move the acceptance of the BJA Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant funding in the amount of $39,448.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Consider a resolution adopting final budget authorities and appropriations for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023, and setting the salary for municipal court judge, interim city manager Burton, and finance director Danielson. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Good evening.
Good
So
evening.
tonight we have before you the fiscal 23 proposed final budget. This budget reflects the priorities of stabilization, market-based pay plan with a 5% COLA for staff, digitization and transparency of public records. We've also focused on capital improvement in the city and working toward off of that capital improvement plans that we've looked at our ARPA distribution. And this the preliminary budget was adopted on June 27th of 2022 by the Commission. There have been some minor changes to the final budget from the preliminary budget, and those are in your packet, but overall those changes include an update to estimated actuals for fiscal 22 and the cash ending balances moving into fiscal 23. Some wage and benefit adjustments of $113,578. And that was based on actual status changes that were submitted, and they were all within the purview of the preliminary budget. So no major changes, just when we project salaries and wages, we do the best we can with the information that we have. But when they all came through as an effective date of July 1, we were able to look at those and make some minor adjustments to the budget for that. We had our final tax levy calculations that came in with assessed values that we made some changes to that. I increased our investment revenue moderately by $125,000 based on some treasury rate changes. I expect that they'll probably come in a little bit higher than what I estimated, but I was purposeful in being conservative in that projection. And we made some cash flow changes to the ARPA fund and the Law and Justice Center fund based on timing of when monies received and when they were going to be spent. So those funds look a little bit different from the preliminary budget, but the overall ending point is the same for them. And then I also included in your in your packet, some other minor changes to operating expenses, both in the general fund and the rest of the funds. This represents a balanced budget. We're using reserves for capital and one-time expenditures. We have total expenditures budgeted at $109,500,000. Total revenues projected at $102,600,000, and internal transfers between funds in and out of about $3.6 million. We added 5.25 FTEs in this fiscal year. One in industrial facilities, an engineering technician, a building inspector, and administrative assistant in the city clerk's office for the digitation project. We took some temporary hours out at Munis and carved those out to make a 0.75 permanent line cook. And then we increased the sustainability coordinator to a full-time position. Personnel costs out of just the operating costs of the budget are about 41% of the total operating budget. That doesn't include capital, and purchase services are about 24% of that total operating budget. We had capital costs of budgeted at 25,680,000. And with the carryovers that were approved by the commission, that'll bring that up to 56,073,000. The carryovers totaled about $30,393,000. There has been some attention given lately to rising costs of equipment. And also some inflationary adjustments for utilities. In fact, I have a meeting with a representative from Northwestern Energy next week to talk about some of their cost increases and how that may impact the budget. So at a later point, we may need to come back to the commission for an amendment based on those energy increases, but we'll be monitoring them at this point and seeing if we can just incorporate it in the existing budget. That is all I have at this point. I am open to questions if the commission has any.
Thank you, Director Danielson. Comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner.
I don't, no question for me right now, but I think we've all mentioned this before, but I would be remiss if I did not say thank you Director Danielson and the entire finance staff and all the folks who helped get us to this point. It is, I don't think, any secret that the last couple years of our budgets have been really big lifts and a lot of rebuilding. And you have just done a tremendous job. I hope that you're starting to get some sleep now. I'm just super grateful for your work and all the work of your department. It has not gone unnoticed, and very grateful for this budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Comments? Any other comments from the commission? Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, I would like to echo the words of Commissioner Dean, and particularly the balanced budget. It is very impressive to see a balanced budget come before us. I know it is not an easy feat, particularly with a budget this large and complex. So thanks to you and all of the staff for making that happen this year. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Dr. Danielson, thank you to you and your staff. I'd like to also echo what Commissioner Dean and Commissioner Reed have said. I know it's been a lot of long nights. Thank you very much for the work that you put into this. Thank you for the balanced budget. We appreciate all the work that you and your staff have done. Thank you for your graciousness as well with me and your patience with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'll chime in as well. Just wanted to say thanks to everyone involved and in terms, this is the third process that I've been through and by far I felt the most informed and had the best understanding of any of them. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And well, I gotta say something too, I guess. No, I don't have to say anything, but I'd want to say something. I want to thank our interim city manager too, because I know when he came in, it was frightening. And we heard how frightening it was. And so, but we're here today and we can smile. So, hey, we appreciate everything you all have done for this budget because it wasn't an easy process. I watched it through and I know it was difficult, but we were able to prevail. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mary. And I'll add that with interim city manager Tim Burton here, I do believe that we really took a lot of strides to make sure that the commission was informed, and not only the commission, but the other department heads. It was very helpful, and he led the process with a real steady hand, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Director Danielson. Any other comments for Director Danielson? Public comments.
Mr. Mayor, I have no written public comment and no hands raised online.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Is that something you? Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
I would move to approve a resolution adopting final budgets, budget authorities, and appropriations for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023, and setting the salary for municipal court judge.
Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Okay, I was getting a little nervous there for a minute. It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion?
Well, Mayor, I would just really briefly, if I may, this might seem a little anticlimactic if you're just tuning in for the first time, but I think Director Danielson noted this well. This has been months and months in the making with many administrative meetings, and we passed the preliminary budget in June. And so this is this final passage. So if it seems, for anyone that's just tuning in, please refer you back to our other meetings where we've worked out kind of all of the details of what each of these budgets look like, funds look like within this massive budget.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any final comments? Did we do the motion? Because they all confuse me now. Oh, yes. And the seconded. It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you. You wanna. Okay, at this time, as per my colleague, I'll invite the opportunity for any amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the city attorney for guidance on how to work through the process of passing a budget and an amendment. I would just like to reiterate again that I really appreciate the work and effort that was put into preparing a balanced budget from the finance team, all the department heads, the interim city manager, and everybody who worked together. As I previously indicated, somewhat unsuccessfully at the preliminary budget hearing due to internet issues, I would like to briefly touch on the issue of the transfer from the general fund to support the golf course restaurant munis. As I mentioned before, if the full transfer is made, we will be at over $897,000 to the golf course restaurant since fiscal year 2020. Over the past weeks, we've had the opportunity to hear from all the department heads on their capital improvement plans and unfunded projects. And I think we've also heard a great deal about the need to prioritize infrastructure and key city services. Beyond these ongoing needs, we are well aware that affordable housing is a very serious issue in our community. And as such, I'm not able to support the ongoing subsidy to the restaurant. I think it is incumbent upon us to find a solution to this issue rather than continuing to pay the debt service with general funds, which I think could be better used to support some of the more high priority needs in our community. And as such, for this year, I would like to make a motion to amend the final budget by decreasing the transfer from the general fund to the golf fund by $142,850 and to increase the transfer from the general fund to the general capital fund by $30,000 for the purpose of trail etiquette and increase the transfer from the general fund to the affordable housing fund by $112,850. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. So for any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts, but first, I wonder if, I think there's a lot of background information that this comes up a lot of the time. Well, since I've been on the commission, it seems to come up every year in some capacity. I think that some background information might be helpful. I think one thing that is maybe less understood by the public is that, and Director Danielson or interim city manager can correct me if I'm wrong. In 2017, the commission at the time had approved a general obligation bond, and this supports paying that bond, regardless of how we feel about, or if we would have voted the same way in 2017. We have an obligation to pay this bond or a number of consequences would then happen. I suspect we're probably going to have to pay it out of the general fund regardless, because there's nowhere else to, I mean, we're obligated to pay this money that the commission approved to access in 2017. I guess maybe interim city manager, Director Danielson, can you give some of that background, and is that context accurate?
Mayor, commissioners. Yes, Commissioner Dean, I think it is accurate. If the motion were to get a second and pass, it would probably require that we look at the entire golf operation and potentially make pretty draconian cuts. Or we would have to pay, because we're obligated for the bond, to maintain our credit rating, et cetera, go to cash reserves in the general fund to cover it like we are right now. So I think Commissioner Dean's description was accurate.
Thank you, the interim city manager. Any other comments from the commission?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, when I mentioned finding a sustainable solution, I think what I'm hoping to get at by means of periodic updates from the restaurant operation is an effort to budget for the debt as an operation, as a restaurant, rather than the presumption of a general fund transfer, which is how it appears to us, is that the budget for the golf course restaurant does not include assuming that debt and paying for it with their own revenue. And I would like to have the conversation about how we can better align the operation with their existing debt obligation, because I understand we can't simply drop it. But I am hopeful that having a discussion about how we can take that on and manage that debt without an assumption of a subsidy from the general fund is a direction I'd like to see us go. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments from the commission?
Mr. Mayor, what is the current, Director Danielson or interim city manager Burton, what is the current revenue being used for from munis? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioner Shurtleff. The revenue generated at the golf course is solely for golf course operations, which includes, if there were enough of it, would cover the debt service. Because of the impact of COVID and the shutdowns at the golf course and the many staffing issues and turnover problems at not only in the Muni's restaurant, but at the golf course itself, they suffered some significant revenue losses over the last couple of years. This year has really seen a large comeback. I believe that, people are wanting to get out and enjoy that facility again. And in addition, we have some very stable management out there now. They're working 24/7, it seems like, to maintain the operations out there, to enhance the operations out there. And the Todd Fritter is now the manager out there at the golf course, and asked the city, give me 1 year to see if I can get this turned around. And I think he's doing a really excellent job at that. It's just that we're still not there yet, and they're still struggling with staffing issues out at Muni's. And so, the efforts are there to increase revenues and support the operations. There's just been an ongoing struggle.
Thank you, Director Danielson. Any other final comments? Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Logan.
Did this motion get a second?
No, not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Dean?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So I really appreciate all of the context that Director Danielson and City Manager have provided. I've done some, just in the last, as this has come up so often, I've done some digging to really fully understand where this is, because I know that we've all probably gotten comments from folks in the community who are interested in, are there other uses for this space? What are these monies go to, etc. So I'd briefly like to just take this opportunity to maybe correct some of the record after doing some research and having it confirmed by city staff that in other communities, there's been a lot of discussion about using golf courses for affordable housing property or land, putting it in land trust, etc. I know that that's been thrown around, not at the commission at this point, but I know other folks in the community. And just to ensure that everyone is aware of where things are, the way that the city acquired the property, it was in 1927 and 1974 in two separate land acquisitions. Both of those deeds required that if the properties were ever to be used for anything other than a municipal golf course, the land immediately reverts back to the parties that sold it to the city. I think, and it was for like $1. And then the other piece of it that is really interesting is that some of the updates that were done, I think in the 80s and 90s, and city manager can correct me if I'm wrong, those were funded through a land water conservation fund. So additional covenants that are placed on the land that prevent it from being used for other purposes. So I think that's good context for people to have in mind when we start having discussions about the golf course, because although it's not directly related to this amendment in terms of the actions of it, it is part of the broader conversation that I think has been happening. I do hope that the golf course is very much, it's our contribution this year is half of as much as it has been in previous years, which I think is awesome. I don't know, I'm not a golfer, but I have come to find out that it is actually one of the best, if not the best, municipal golf course in the state. And something that I think that's something we can be really proud about. And I'm glad to see that our revenues are trending in the right direction. I really struggle with, I understand the purpose of this amendment to force a conversation, but I think that policy conversation can probably be had without, putting our bond rating at risk, and scrambling to find other ways to fund this general obligation bond payment that we are required to pay. And I would encourage us to have those conversations. I think that, as Director Danielson said, there really is some committed leadership at the golf course right now, and figuring out what we can do to better support them so that the revenue continues to grow, and it becomes more accessible to more people. It's hard to get a tee time there anyway. But I think those are just some things that we should keep in mind, and what I'm thinking about in terms of what policy looks like for the golf course going forward. And I don't necessarily think this amendment is the best way to get us there. Obviously respect Commissioner Reed for bringing it forward, but I think there's just a lot more context and impact than simply not funding that transfer. I'm excited about us continuing to invest more in affordable housing, in addition to that 2.1 million that we've already put in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, as we continue our ARPA discussions, and also hope that maybe we can have a discussion about that trail etiquette program within the ARPA dollars as well, because something I think a lot of folks in the community would appreciate. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion. Is there a second? Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, as there appears to be no second, the motion is dead.
Thank you. Consider a resolution providing for the annual tax levy in mill for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023. Director Danielson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. On August 17th at your administrative meeting, I went through and presented the tax calculations for the mills for recommended mills for fiscal year 23. The total mills that we're recommending are 173.87 mills. That includes 27.35 mills for the health insurance levy, 7 mills for the general obligation debt in 2008, the limited general levy of 126.93 mills, and 12.59 mills for the fire department supplemental levy. When I just recently got the county's finalized levies, mills, and the total schools are at 479.21 mills proposed to be, and Lewis and Clark County proposed mills are 198.56 mills. With our 173.87 mills, that brings the total overlapping levy to our residents in the city of 851.64 mills. That's up from the prior year of 838.44 mills. If I were to take and look at a simple calculation of home value of $350,000, the estimated tax levy on that particular property would be about $4,024 for the year, if that puts that in context for you. And that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Comments or questions from the commission? Do we have any public comments?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I have no hands raised, no written public comment online.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I would move to approve a resolution providing for the annual tax levy and mills for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consider a resolution for the City of Helena to set residential and commercial wastewater base and usage rates. Director Leland, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Commission. This is the resolution to set wastewater rates for the city of Helena. We are proposing no rates at this time. We are currently going through or in the process of finishing up a rate study. So we will probably be bringing something forward for next fiscal year. But at this time, we just wanted to get the budget back online, get everything going and not have any increases at this time. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Comments or questions from the commission? Because I was scared just now when you said we are proposing no rates. About to say, oh man, who's gonna pay for that? But then I understand you're talking about no rate increases. Okay. Any other comments from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, any public comments? Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I have no public comment online.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move that we consider a resolution for the city of Helena to set a residential and commercial wastewater base and usage rates with 0 increase.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I see we're just about exhausted our agenda, but I want to know why Commissioner Dean is so large on the screen and all of us are so tiny. Is there anyone from the public wishes to address the commission?
we have the water rates that we need to address. We just did. water,
Oh,
wastewater.
geez, man, I'm rolling.
Sorry.
It's,
bud.
I was
Okay,
going to remind you, Mayor, that's why I'm there.
consider a resolution to set rates for for all customers of the City of Helena water system. Director Leland, you have the floor.
Mayor, Commission, this will be very easy. It's about the same. Again, no rate increases. We'll keep the exact same rates as we did before. And with that, we've received no comments and I'll be here to answer any questions.
Comments or questions from the commission? Public comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead,
I
Commissioner.
move to approve a resolution to set rates for all customers of the City of Helena water system.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, you're moving too fast. I can't keep track of what I'm writing. Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Mayor Collins,
Aye.
5-0.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public wishes to address the commission?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Philip Titica. I live here in the City of Helena for approximately the last 20 years. I'm here not to be upset, but I'm here to speak about an issue that I see every day out in our community of homeless people. I feel of my own right mind, and I've talked to some other people in the Helena community. I feel it's getting worse, and I don't know what the answer is. I do know that it's not only downtown, but around the city. And I guess my issue for being here tonight is, I don't know their situation. But like I said, I think it's getting worse, and I am out and about every day, and I don't actually see nothing done about it. And that's why I'm here tonight, to address you and the commissioners. We all make mistakes, but just in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've seen where it's got worse and worse and worse. And I have talked to some of the downtown business people that are very upset. They're trying to operate a business, and there's people either sleeping out in front of their businesses or in the parks. And like I said, I don't know the resolution, but I just wanted to address it because I've lived here a long time, and I just see it getting worse and worse and worse. And, some of the issues are, the city is limited on what they can do, or the county, but I would like to, I'm very active every day when I do it, and I'd like to address it, and maybe it being looked into, and to see if we can, I don't feel anybody should be homeless. I don't feel anybody should, but the problem is when you have people visiting our town and they can't even walk down a sidewalk or street because it's full of people, shopping carts, whatever. And that's why I was here tonight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Do we have any other comments? Anybody from the public wishes to address the commission? Do we have any online, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I have no hands raised online, and I've received no written public comment.
Are there any final comments from the commission?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead,
just
Commissioner.
super briefly, just to respond to that general public comment, I think that, and maybe interim city manager Burton could talk to Kara about, maybe we could put together a primer that's available for the public about what are some of the things that we're doing to support people who are finding themselves in more difficult situations. One of the things in this budget we just passed was we fund the housing navigator that's housed under Good Samaritans. And additionally, we're having pretty extensive conversations in our ARPA discussions about what this money could look like going out into the community. There's a number of nonprofits who support emergency and transitional housing that are interested in being involved. But I would really encourage the public to also start talking to the county, because we can do a lot more when we combine our resources. I know the county's trying to get to a place where maybe they might be willing to help us out in terms of getting more bang for our buck. And so I'd strongly encourage the public to help us, one, connect with some of the nonprofits who are be able to help us do this work, but two, really moving the county to help to be involved in the process as well. I know they're interested, but it's going to take all of us to solve some of these pretty difficult issues.
Any final comments from the commission?
Mayor, I will just follow up with Community Development Director Brink based on Commissioner Dean's suggestion, and we'll follow up at a future meeting.
Thank you. Well, thanks for everything. Director Danielson, awesome job. Chief Petty, continue to thank you. Director Leland and everybody else there. Hey, you guys missed something over this weekend. We had Josh Turner in town, and man, he can sing. Y'all missed it. I was there. So if nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.